You ever feel like the moment you turn your back, the world just flips? That's what happened to me. I went off to serve my country boots on the ground in a war zone and came home to find out my house, my sanctuary, had been sold for the price of a rusted out lawnmower. $300,000 gone, sold for $3,500. And the people who did it, a bunch of retirees in lawn chairs calling themselves an HOA. My name is Mason Keller. I was a captain in the Army National Guard, stationed overseas for just under a year. My wife Ellie and I had bought a house in a quiet neighborhood in Cedarfield, Texas. Nice lawns, decent folks, not much trouble. At least that's how it looked from the outside. The house was worth about $300K, and we put everything into that place. Our savings, our time, our future. In early 2020, I was deployed to Iraq. I was leading a convoy detail, which is about as nerve-wracking as it gets. IEDs, ambushes, the works. Every day my boots hit sand, and I wondered if I was coming home in one piece. But I wasn't worried about home. Ellie was there with our two boys, Jacob and Miles. Jake was 10, full of questions. Miles had epilepsy, serious stuff. His seizures could be terrifying. I tried to keep in touch, but connection was spotty, and most days Ellie was barely keeping it together. She stopped watching the news, stopped answering the door. Even the mailbox became a source of dread. That's where the trouble began. The HOA started sending notices, $100 here, $50 there, for supposed unpaid dues. We had a small annual fee, but I'd set it on auto pay through our bank before I left. Still, they claimed we owed $800. Ellie never saw the letters, she just shut down. I didn't know until it was way too late. In Texas, HOAs can foreclose on your house without even stepping into a courtroom. No judge, no trial. Just a quiet little process. They start while you're not looking. That $800 turned into a lien. That lien turned into a foreclosure. And our home sold at auction to some real estate scavenger for $3,500. While I was sleeping on a cot in a tent halfway around the world. When I got back to the States that fall, I didn't go home. I went to my brother's place while Ellie picked me up from the airport. She broke the news sitting in a Walmart parking lot of all places. I didn't believe her at first. Thought maybe she was confused. Maybe it was some kind of scam. But the look on her face, it wasn't confusion. It was shame. She thought she'd failed me. I drove to the house the next day. It didn't even look like mine anymore. Different mailbox, new paint, and a big, fat no trespassing sign on the lawn. A stranger opened the door. Some investor who flipped it the minute he got it. He offered me a bottle of water. I wanted to throw it through his window. I stormed into the HOA office that afternoon, just a little beige building at the edge of the subdivision. Inside, leather chairs, granite countertops, a fridge stocked with fancy bottled water, and the smug face of their president, Doris Mackey. Late 60s perfect curls, pearl earrings. She looked up from her tablet like I'd just interrupted her spa day. "Can I help you?" "You sold my house." She blinked. "Excuse me." I was deployed. You sold my house for $3,500. Her lips twitched. Sir, all notices were delivered to the residence. Your wife failed to respond. We followed all procedures outlined in the bylaws. You knew I was active duty. You knew we had kids. One of them disabled. Military status does not exempt residents from their financial obligations, she said, like she was reading it off a laminated card. I clenched my jaw. You stole my home. She stood up then slowly, and I swear she smiled. No, sir. We enforced the rules. You can take that up with our attorney if you'd like. So I did. I found a lawyer who specialized in HOA abuse cases. Turns out there's a whole industry around these crooks. He told me about the Service Members Civil Relief Act, which is supposed to protect deployed military from this exact kind of thing. But here's the kicker. The HOA's legal team claimed the foreclosure wasn't a civil action, so the SCRA didn't apply. That's the loophole. They don't take you to court. They just quietly take your home. We filed an injunction and tried to reverse the sale, but the property had already been transferred twice. First to a shell company, then to a private buyer who claimed he was just doing business. The court didn't want to touch it. No way to unwind it without a massive fight. My lawyer looked me in the eye and said, "You could win, but it'll take years, and it'll cost you more than the house is worth." That broke something in me. Not just because we lost the house, but because I realized no one was coming to fix it. Not the military, not the courts, not the state. I'd fought for a system that couldn't even protect me at home. Ellie and I moved into a rental across town. The boys had nightmares for months. Jacob kept asking when we'd go back to the red house. Miles had a seizure during the first week in the new place. Stress, probably. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and check my phone just staring at pictures of the old living room, the backyard where we built a swing set. One day, I saw Doris at a local coffee shop. She was sitting there with two other board members, sipping chai lattes and laughing like they hadn't just gutted a man's life. I walked up to her table, calm as I could manage. "You sleep okay, Doris?" She didn't even flinch. "I do, thank you." "You know what I was doing while you auctioned off my house? I was carrying a 20-year-old private with shrapnel in his leg through the back of a truck while mortar shells fell around us." She raised her eyebrows unmoved. "I'm sorry for your loss." I smiled cold. "It's not over." I didn't mean it as a threat, but I meant it as a promise. Right now, I'm working with a group of veterans pushing legislation to close those HOA foreclosure loopholes. We've got meetings lined up with state senators and city councils. If we can't change the law for me, maybe we'll change it for the next soldier who leaves his home to fight and expects it to be there when he returns. They want quiet, these HOA types. They want silence and compliance. But I've got stories to tell and a voice that hasn't gone hoarse just yet. You know, people like Doris always hide behind the rules. But rules without decency, that's not order. That's just legalized theft. So tell me, what do you think? Should HOAs have this kind of power? Should a soldier lose his home over a few missed payments, especially when he's halfway across the world? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you, especially if you've ever tangled with an HOA yourself. Like, share. And if you know someone in the military, send this their way. We've got to look out for each other because clearly no one else will.